It's time for another edition of Morning Date, where we get to speak with intriguing people from all walks of life. Today we're lucky to have a guest joining us in the studio who's travelled from afar for EIDF, the EBS International Documentary Festival we talked about on our movie segment not long ago. Now he's an award-winning documentary director, a cultural ambassador, and an exceptional creative mind. He is none other than Norwegian director and artist Morten Traavik. Morten Traavik 감독님 모셨습니다. Welcome to the studio.
감사합니다. Thank you very much for having me.
Your Korean is fantastic. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself to our listeners?
안녕하십니까. 반갑습니다. I am Morten Traavik. As you said within your beautiful introduction, I'm an artist and a director of films and theater. I am here as a member of the jury in the International Documentary Festival of the EIDF, but also I am taking the opportunity to film a little bit on one of my own projects as well, of which we can probably talk more.
Yes, that would be fantastic. 네, 이번에 이제 EBS 다큐멘터리 페스티벌이죠. EIDF의 참가차 또 이제 주리로서 참가를 하고 계십니다. But this is of course not your first time on the Korean peninsula, and that actually takes us to your documentary and your works here as well, as you briefly mentioned. Can you first of all tell us about your documentary?
The documentary is called Liberation Day, which, among other things, refers to the Liberation Day on August 15th, which is a date I think very familiar to all Koreans and also in the East Asian region.
Sure.
In 2015, actually almost to the day, 4 years ago, I organized what has become known as the first rock concert ever in North Korea.
North Korea, yeah.
And the band, the group that I chose was quite surprising choice for many. It is I would more say like an art collective, which of course makes music and quite experimental, challenging music as well.
Right.
It's not like I did not bring Justin Bieber, you know, or kind of mainstream music. I brought a quite controversial group from the former Yugoslavia called Laibach.
Laibach. Well, that begs me to ask the next question. Why this group in particular?
I guess that I have a tendency for wanting to push the envelope in my projects and to try to expound the boundaries of what is considered doable or possible. And by bringing this particular group, which has been especially in the past very controversial, even in the West, I wanted to. I guess I wanted that extra challenge, but. On the other hand, you could say that Laibach they have always been very much expressing music that is quite military style, quite martial, quite grandiose, and all these qualities you can find in the music of North Korea as well. With military marches and these. This hugeness.
So obviously it was very intentional right from the start when you were planning on getting this.
It was quite deliberate, yes. And also Laibach is one of my favorite bands ever.
So it's a personal reason behind
yes, as a fan, it was like a dream come true.
그랬군요. 2015년에 처음으로 북한에서 록 콘서트를 여는데 크게 이바지를 하신 트라빅 감독님입니다. 라이바흐라고 하는 유고슬라비아 밴드, 서양에서 사실 이미 굉장히 논란이 되어온 그런 밴드인데요. 일부러 이 밴드를 선정해서 북한에 가가지고 콘서트를 여는 그런 성과를 냈습니다. 그리고 이번에 Liberation Day라고 하는 다큐멘터리가 그때 당시의 상황들을 잘 묘사하고 있는 그런 다큐멘터리인데요. So what's the underlying message, would you say, in Liberation Day?
I hope there are many messages.
Yes,
and
right.
as a director, I guess I'm a bit reluctant to tell people what to think about my work.
I think you said that in a previous interview a while back.
I say that all the time.
You say that all the time, yeah.
just not to have to explain what I'm doing, because I don't always know what I'm doing.
Yeah. It's really up to the people who are watching to interpret it themselves, right?
Well, the reason why I'm a bit reluctant is not because I'm not like being secretive on purpose, but actually as an artist, for me, it's very valuable to hear people's responses, because sometimes people have thoughts about my works that I hadn't thought about before myself, and so I can actually get back some ideas that I can use later.
Okay.
So it actually enriches my own work to hear people's interpretations. Having said that, I guess Liberation Day, of course, the title is a message.
Yes.
Because on one hand it refers to the 70th anniversary, which was in 2015, and the occasion for the concert of the liberation of the Korean Peninsula, which was at the same time the division of the Korean Peninsula. So it's a very double message. But at the same time, what I hope we achieved with the concert and the film is to maybe liberate people a little bit from their preconceptions. And that goes both for the North Korean audience who witnessed the concert, but not least for the audience of the film, that we might perhaps open people's minds a little bit about what is North Korea and how life is there.
And that is, of course, the beauty of all works, I think, that are put through a different lens, and by making a documentary and reaching out to the wider audience in the world, you are letting other people outside of this small part of the world learn what you have learned, or even learn more than that.
Absolutely.
그러니까 Liberation Day, 광복절이라는 제목에서 주는 어떤 메시지가 있다고 말씀을 해주셨고요. 2015년이면은 이제 광복절 70주년이었죠. 그래서 그 당시에 어떤 상징성도 있지만 또 한편으로는 이 liberation이라는 것 자체가 뭔가 자유화되다, 자유로워지다 이런 뜻이 있잖아요. 그래서 사람들의 어떤 마인드셋이라든지 생각을 좀 더 자유롭게 하고 싶었다라는 취지도 있다고 설명을 해주셨지만 근본적으로는 모든 해석은 보는 사람들에게 달려있다 이렇게 말씀을 해주셨습니다. Well, why don't we take a short song break and listen to one of the songs from Laibach?
Certainly.
Now this song that you've brought with us is quite reminiscent of a famous Sound of Music song that many of our listeners and myself probably are very familiar with, Maria. And it's about this nun who's a nuisance at the chapel, but
she doesn't follow the rules.
She doesn't follow the rules, but there is something quite endearing about her still. There's many sides to Maria, and the lyrics have changed a bit, right? That
is correct. One of the trademarks of Laibach is that they are quite radically interpreting already well-known songs.
Yes.
When we secured the invitation to perform in North Korea, it turned out that Laibach, for many years, have thought about making their version of The Sound of Music, the whole album, the whole musical. They've just been waiting for the right occasion.
Oh, really?
And since I had earlier discovered that actually The Sound of Music is very well known, also even in North Korea.
Oh, is that right?
That's good. Yeah, they know it even just as well, and maybe even better than people in the South, because it's used as one of the examples in their English lessons.
Oh, I see.
In higher learning institutions.
I never knew that.
No, me neither. So, but then of course that presented itself as the occasion to include Sound of Music in the repertoire. So when we played in Pyongyang, we played songs from The Sound of Music as part of the repertoire, and after that it was quite logical for Laibach to cover all the songs from The Sound of Music. So this is actually their latest album, which came out in November last year. And the change of lyrics that you were referring to is definitely derived from their North Korean experience. The lyrics goes, how do you solve a problem like Maria? And it just took a couple of letters change to make it, how do you solve a problem like Korea?
I know.
So
and the same number of syllables too.
That's
Who
right.
would have guessed? 네, 라이바흐가 안 그래도 사운드 오브 뮤직 트랙을 가지고 전체 다 편곡을 하고 싶은 생각을 오랫동안 가지고 있었대요. 근데 마침 트라빅 감독님과 손을 잡고 북한에 가서 최초의 북한 록 콘서트를 열게 되자 우리가 기획했던 이 사운드 오브 뮤직 편곡을 북한과 관련해서 해보자 라는 아이디어가 생겼다고 합니다. 관련곡 들어볼게요. This is Laibach with Maria, Korea. That song just there was by Laibach. It was Maria, Korea. And it was a recommendation by director Traavik. You're listening to Morning Date. And that is indeed who we're talking to this morning. 노르웨이의 감독님이십니다. 이번에 다큐멘터리를 들고 오셨고요. EIDF에 참가하시면서 또 심사위원으로도 역임을 하고 계십니다. 트라빅 감독님의 추천곡 듣고 왔어요. Fascinating song there. And I love how they changed a classic into something that is really thought-provoking. Because I had to think again as I was listening to all of those lyrics.
That's good. That's part of our plan.
Is that the aim? Yeah? All right. Well, tell us about your art projects with North Korea. How did it start? How did it develop?
Oh, how much time have we?
Well, let's say we have all day.
Okay, then you just have to stop me.
Okay.
I'll try to make it short for the benefit of the listeners. I visited North Korea first time in 2008, and it has already changed quite a bit since then. But in 2008, I actually went more or less as I wouldn't say exactly tourist, but through a friend of a friend, I got in contact with a so-called friendship association. Because there are these in the West, in quite a number of countries, there are these, still exists this remnant of the 1970s when there were, Chuche,
yes.
this so homemade ideology of Kim Il-sung.
Yes.
There were Chuche study groups all over the world that were supported by the North Korean embassies because, of course, every great leader has to have study groups in countries all over the world.
Yeah.
And there is still a kind of a remnant of these groups. And now they're called friendship associations. And it's usually, one guy and his dog in some small town in Germany, for instance.
Yeah.
But one of these friendship associations regularly organizes tours to North Korea.
I see.
And I managed to get, a place on one of these tours. So, and one of my many strong impressions from my first visit was that there was a lot of things that were as I had expected from what I have heard and read, but also quite a lot of things that were not.
I see.
And that,
like?
Well, for one instance, that people actually laugh and, they have a sense of humor.
Yeah, I too was fascinated to see some of the pictures in your book of just, random candid shots of North Korean people smiling and laughing. And this may sound very strange to maybe a non-Korean, but as a South Korean, we're given this image of a very sort of oppressed and not very happy people, but the pictures you have in your book show a different story.
Well, I think, of course, it is a very tightly controlled country and society, but you have more or less the same selection of people in North Korea as you would have in any other country. You have people who are unhappy, and you have also people who are quite happy.
Right.
Maybe the proportions are a bit different from many other countries, but you find the same spectre of personalities and people within a very, they have this, one of the most used propaganda slogans is Ilsim Dangyol, single-hearted unity.
Yes.
So on a first meeting with a country like North Korea, it may seem very monolithic, but under the surface there is a lot of diversity, which you have, but to get to this diversity and to experience it, you need to be patient, and you need to go there more than once. And most people from the outside, if they ever go to North Korea, they go there only once, which is a shame. Right. Because you will never be able to have these insights if you go there once with quite heavy expectations in your baggage, so to speak.
Right. But I guess that first experience of going to North Korea for you was impactful enough for you to return again and again.
That's right. And as you get to know a person or a country or Maria or Korea, you uncover more and more. As you get to know more, you also get to know that you don't know anything.
That's very true, yeah.
So you get more and more interested, and there is still plenty to discover in a place like North Korea, as you can imagine.
Yes. 2008년도에 처음에 북한 방문을 하게 됐는데요. 우연한 기회에 우정협회라고 하는 단체를 통해서 여행을 가게 됐는데 그 이후로 이제 북한을 더 많이 방문을 하게 되셨고요. 북한에 대해서 많이 알면 알수록 내가 모르는 게 정말 많다라는 생각이 있어서 계속해서 이렇게 방문을 하고 또 다큐멘터리를 찍게 됐다는 설명을 해주셨습니다. Now, a lot of people say you're a cultural diplomat. How would you define cultural diplomacy based on your works and what you've done?
Well, I guess you could see me as that, although I wouldn't say myself that is my primary goal.
Okay.
Because we have diplomats already.
Yeah.
And, they are probably nice, but not always that useful, in my opinion. But of course, I do, to a certain extent, agree that the effect of the art projects that I do can, in certain cases, be that of cultural diplomacy.
Yeah.
And for something to qualify for that rather, pompous title, I would say that it needs to be, as much as possible, it needs to be a true collaboration.
Yeah.
Because it's quite easy to have like a soccer match or a basketball game or this one concert that you can put it on television and then everybody says, oh, this was a beautiful cultural exchange. But a true cultural exchange for me is it's like a relationship. Sure. It needs to develop over time. It cannot be a one-night stand. Well, it can be, but you will only get to a certain point.
Sure.
So I would say that true cultural diplomacy also involves the opposite of diplomacy, namely, fighting, squabbling, overcoming obstacles, because this is also a very important part of getting to know each other. Absolutely.
The nitty-gritties of a real relationship you have to get involved with to understand a different culture.
Absolutely, and I think we captured quite a lot of that in the film as well. You see the process, how we... Actually, everybody together are working towards a common goal, both we and the North Korean side, and through difficulties. But we, in the end, I will not reveal how it ends, but we are working towards a common goal.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I watched the documentary. I was very fascinated by it. And there was a scene that I thought was very interesting where you ask the North Korean side to do something and at first they're a little bit taken aback, I think, because you say, please, I don't remember what it was. I think you said, we need to have these exact settings here, don't take it away, or something like that.
Oh yeah, that was the sound, the mixing board for the concert, which kept being, tweaked all the time without us seeing.
Yeah, but it was interesting because, as you said, there is a bit of a conflict there, as you can see, but that is a part of understanding each other.
Absolutely, it's part of the fun.
Indeed. Cultural diplomacy, 그러니까 문화 외교, 어떤 문화 외교 사절단으로서의 역할을 한다라는 얘기를 가끔 들으시는데 본인 스스로는 이제 굉장히 좀 부담스러운 타이틀이다 이런 얘기를 해주셨고요. 다만 이제 다른 사람들로 하여금 평소에 보지 못하는 알지 못하는 것을 소개해준다는 의미에서는 뭐 그렇게 부를 수도 있겠고, 그런데 다른 문화를 이해하기 위해서는 좋은 면만 보여주는 것이 아니라 어떤 게 잘 다듬어진 편집된 그런 모습이 아니라 정말 때로는 안 좋은 모습도 또 다투는 모습도 다 포함을 해야 이게 서로에 대한 이해가 늘어난다, 증진이 된다 이런 설명을 해주셨습니다. 실제로 다큐멘터리를 보다 보시면은요 좋은 모습들도 있지만 또 약간 갈등의 순간순간들도 있더라고요. 저도 굉장히 흥미로웠습니다. Everything about the film that you made was fascinating for me because first of all, number one, as a South Korean, I can't go to North Korea, so I will never have that first-hand experience. Secondly, a lot of it was behind the scenes, which is again not something that the general public get to see. We get to see what's on the stage after everything has been perfected, and then we clap, and that's the end. But with your film, things that happened behind the scenes, the conversations between the North and yourself, and also Laibach, it was all very, very raw and real, and I love that.
That's true, and to be a bit self-promoting, I think it's quite rare also for a North Korea documentary to have so much of these real human meetings.
Yes.
Because exactly as you say, in North Korea and actually almost anywhere, most people want to present only their beautiful side.
Yes, and that was one of the big questions I had. Did North Korea not censor this documentary and say, we want to have this lovely image of our nation? I was surprised that this was actually made the way it was, and
rightly so.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask that question, and the short answer is no. Everything you see in the film, nothing of the footage that we shot was censored. We took everything with us that we had filmed. Nobody asked us to see anything of our footage.
Okay.
They are basically much more concerned of what you bring in than what you take out.
Interesting. Okay, but I can see that there's a huge level of trust, nonetheless, about what you make and what you take out, even though, as you said, they might not care as much, but still.
Yes, and that is a key word, trust.
Trust.
And that trust has to be built over time, and through squabbling and drinking together, and
right.
doing things together. So, and this is an important point, that the Laibach concert didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
I think I spent 1 year making the North Koreans understand why this might be a good idea. But before that, I had also done many other collaboration projects with North Korean artists, North Korean cultural authorities. And through those projects, we had created a level of trust that was strong enough for this to even be possible.
Yes. 처음부터 이런 다큐멘터리를 만들 테니 허락을 해달라 이렇게 한 것은 아니고요. 지난 10여 년간 북한을 여러 번 방문하시면서 일종의 이제 신뢰를 좀 쌓아오신 것 같습니다. 그러면서 결국은 이제 설득을 통해서 우리가 이 다큐멘터리를 통해 어떤 솔직담백한 모습을 찍으려고 한다. 그랬을 때 마침내 이제 북한 측에서도 좋다라고 대답하기까지 좀 많은 세월이 걸렸지만 해내셨다라는 얘기를 해주셨고요. 굉장히 또 하여튼 흥미롭습니다. 평소에 보지 못하는 그런 모습들을 이 다큐멘터리 영화를 통해서 볼 수 있어서 저 역시도 굉장히 놀라기도 하고 또 감동도 받았습니다. Well, why don't we listen to another song? And this one is another recommendation by yourself. It's a title that every Korean knows, Arirang, but it's not by a Korean band.
Not this time.
No?
I thought Arirang might be both familiar and maybe a bit unfamiliar, because this is also in an interpretation by Laibach. And as you know very well as a Korean, the Arirang is almost like the unofficial national anthem of both Koreas. And it's a kind of it might even be in a near or distant future reunified Korea. It might even be the national song, who knows. But that was also one of the songs we performed in Pyongyang So it felt quite natural to include that on the Sound of Music album as well. And Laibach, even because they like to mix elements from different sources, they even, as you will hear in the beginning, they included a short lyrical part from the, I guess you could call it pop hit, the North Korean pop hit by Moran Bong group. We will go to Mount Pektu, Pektu Sangarira. So you will actually get a little, almost 2 songs for the price of 1.
Perfect. All right, let's take a listen to Laibach's 아리랑. 네, 아리랑 라이바흐의 버전으로 듣고 오셨습니다. Wow, a new take on a familiar song there.
Very beautiful, I think.
Yes. Well, of course, we're talking to director Traavik today. 노르웨이에서 오신 트라빅 감독님과 오늘 모닝데이트 얘기 나누고 있습니다. EIDF, EBS 국제 다큐멘터리 영화제에서 심사위원을 역임해주고 계시고요. 그 다음에는 이제 북한에 직접 가셔서 찍은 다큐멘터리 영화에 대해서도 좀 길게 얘기를 나눠봤는데 사실 할 얘기가 더 많아요. 하지만 오늘은 다 나눌 수는 없을 것 같습니다. Let's talk about the DMZ Academy. Tell us about that venture.
That's the latest venture, or adventure, you could even say, that I organized 2 years ago. Actually, almost to the day as well, in August, September 2017.
Yeah.
Which was a seminar or symposium for contemporary art, where I brought a group of international contemporary artists working in fields like video installation, sound sculpture, body art, you know, conceptions of art that are totally unheard of in North Korea. Because you have a lot of very accomplished artists, but as you can imagine, their way of expression and the formats that are open to them are very limited and very traditional.
Yeah.
So it was an attempt to introduce some ways of thinking about art and practicing art that were unknown, and at the same time exposing these sometimes a bit, in my opinion, a bit spoilt Western artists to the reality of artists that have to find very, very tight, small spaces to express their creativity.
And so where was this held?
This seminar? This was at the Pyongyang Academy of Fine Arts, which is the highest arts institution of higher learning in the country. And a lot of the artists and professors of the Pyongyang Academy of Fine Arts, they go on to Mansode Art Studios, which is this huge production unit for where the most accomplished artists in North Korea work.
아, 그렇군요. 2017년 8월에 시작을 하게 된 DMZ 아카데미는 일종의 세미나인데 평양에서 직접 이제 북한에서 예술을 하시는 분들, 또 예술을 공부하시는 분들과 그 다음에 전 세계의 contemporary arts니까 현대 예술을 하는 많은 예술가들을 한 자리에 모아서 소통을 할 수 있게끔 하는 장을 열었습니다. And was it a successful venture, would you say?
I think it was successful in the sense that we managed to hold it, the seminar.
Yeah.
But it was very hard. It was very difficult. We encountered a lot of suspicion and resistance from our hosts, which was to a very large extent connected to the, at that time, very heated rhetoric and war, beating of the war drums between Donald Trump and the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un. And we felt that very strongly. It was a very, very tense atmosphere. And in this atmosphere, in my opinion, cultural exchange is needed more than ever, because it's one of the very few possibly open windows through which we can look at each other. Sure. But it's also is one of the most difficult things to do. So, and the first, just to illustrate, the first day, one of the first days we were there, North Korea fired a test missile over Japan.
Wow.
So there were, war headlines in all the world media. And to kind of cap off our visit, they detonated their first really successful nuclear test, which even made the hotel bed in my Pyongyang hotel shake.
Oh, wow.
We could feel the tremors.
What was the response from the other artists that took part from around the world?
They were quite terrified.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And of course, for me, it was a bit uncomfortable since I had, some of them I had convinced because they were reluctant to come.
Yeah.
But I said, take it
It'll
easy.
be fine,
You'll be fine. It's not as bad as you think. But then it turned out at this particular time it was even worse than they thought.
그렇군요.
And this has also been made into a documentary called War of Art, which will premiere at the DMZ Docs in September, I think, here in Paju or
Paju, right?
Yeah, Paju.
Yeah, absolutely. Not too far from our EBS studio, actually.
That's right.
네, 그러니까 평양에서 이 DMZ 아카데미를 열었다는 그 자체에 의의를 둔다 이런 설명을 해주셨습니다. 물론 굉장히 어려움이 많았고요. 특히 이제 북한 측에서는 여러 가지 의문점, 또 의심도 하면서 왜 이런 예술을 이 예술가들이 하느냐라는 그런 질문을 굉장히 많이 받았다고 하고요. 그 다음에는 전 세계 예술가들도 평양에 겨우겨우 설득해서 데려갔는데 그 당시에 이제 북한과 미국 간의 긴장감이 굉장히 고조된 상태였기 때문에 북한에서 발사체를 발사하고 이런 일들도 그 예술가들이 평양에 있는 당시에 일어나서 좀 쉽진 않았다, 좀 불편한 점도 있었다 이런 설명을 해주셨습니다. 어쨌든 열렸다는 그 자체가 의미가 있다라는 설명이었고요. Let's talk about some of your other works. This time let's go to Miss Landmine. Tell us about that.
Yes, as its title suggests, Miss Landmine was a beauty pageant for women disabled by landmines, which I organized the first time in Angola in Southwest Africa back in 2008. Actually the same year as I visited North Korea for the first time. And I did the same concept in Cambodia the year after. And both of these countries have a huge problem with landmines left in the ground from very long and very disastrous civil conflicts. So naturally they also have quite a large proportion of people who are injured by landmines.
Yes.
And I wanted to present that situation, and not least to make these women visible in a way that was a bit unexpected and that confounded people's expectations on what a so-called landmine victim might look like and how she should behave.
Well, it was controversial, as you said, but it was definitely a good way to shed light on an issue otherwise unknown, really, to the outside world.
Yes, absolutely, and but again, there is this one of my favorite, you could even say maybe art principles in my work, or one quote that I often think of and I pass on to others is from the Czech writer Milan Kundera, who wrote, among other things, The Unbearable Lightness of Being. He has this book where which is called The Art of the Novel, where he writes about writing.
Yeah.
And he has this very profound line, I think, that he says that every really, really good book is always a bit more intelligent than the person who wrote it. And I think that goes for any great artwork, that it has to be bigger than yourself as the artist. And that happened with Miss Landmine as well, that it started as a wish to highlight the problem of landmines, but it turned more and more into a project that was about identity and expectations of identity of these women, both within themselves but also in their communities. So that became even the main aspect of which was very, very, I think was very good, but that I hadn't really expected.
그렇군요. Miss Landmine이라는 이 영화를 통해서는 캄보디아에서 질회를 통해 부상을 당한 여성들이 어떤 미인 대회에 참가한다라는 컨셉을 가지고 다큐멘터리를 찍으셨는데 결국은 어떤 정체성의 이슈까지 대두되면서 생각보다 굉장히 많은 성공적인 어떤 다큐멘터리로 나왔다 이렇게 얘기를 해주셨습니다. Well, I'd love to continue asking you about these of your works and your book, but because we're short on time, my last question to you would have to be this one. Any upcoming projects you can tell us about?
Well, you know, my projects are very, very secret, so I would have to kill all the listeners afterwards. Well, I can reveal that while I'm here at the EIDF, I'm also researching a new documentary with a Korean context, which deals with the matchmaking business.
Oh, okay.
And as you may know, there is you may know the saying "nam nam bok nyo."
Of course.
South Korean women don't usually like that saying that much, and it's
Our male staff are very happy. I can see.
yeah, it's a bit unfair. They should have like how would it be if you turn the tables? It would be like nam nyo.
Nam nyo puk nam. If it was the opposite way around.
Yeah. We have to make. Probably I have to make a film about that too.
All right.
But and apart from that, I am here also. I will also be having some meetings with South Korean publishing houses about my book, The Traitor's Guide to North Korea, which came out in Norway last year, and that's also been published in other countries.
Yes, and I'm very looking forward to the Korean version of that when it comes out as well.
So am I.
Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me. 감사합니다.
네, 노르웨이의 감독 모르텐 트라빅 감독님과 오늘 모닝데이트 얘기 나눠봤습니다.